Even though American farmers are struggling, I'm happy that our president sent Argentina $40 billion. I'm willing to go broke. Ha! Couldn't be prouder. What a time to be alive.
Well, this is another hilarious story.
Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027. Late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently, around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business.
Arkansas farmers are publicly having their fuck around and find out moment. About a quarter to 1/3 farms are said to go bankrupt within the next year. And while I never wish harm or bad things upon people, good, honest people, we do need accountability. And this is just the beginning of it. Also, I just want to say, it shows how they are, because they're offing themselves too. They want to act all big and bad all the time. They were just privileged. You get a little ounce of trouble, you're taking your own life. God damn, waiting on the government for your funds, counting on them, thinking they're gonna save you? Well, guess what? This was in the plan. Because now all the farmlands are being sold on Acre Trader to Big Corp, and not these are family-owned farms that have been passed down for generations that are going to have to fight, that are going away. And they just gave their power to the 1% to cause more harm to us. Because the animals that they raise, the farms that they set up, are not good for us. They're not treating the animals correctly. They don't care about the cycles of the universe or the laws of the universe. They don't care because they're parasites and they're here to suck you dry until there's nothing left.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, "I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on." Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, had you just listened to those same marginalized groups, if you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on, because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
Today we're diving into the devastating and heartbreaking story of Arkansas farmers who are going bankrupt. Well, they seemingly now already bankrupt because they've been going bankrupt for a long time, and right now it looks like no hope is coming their way. No help, no hope.
Oh my God, I revolt. I revolt for Donald Trump.
Hundreds of farmers going bankruptcy because of Trump's tariff. Listen up.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up. So after a horrible year last year, where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big, beautiful bill provided a much-needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in.
Wow.
It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Newport, and we made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that this is.
Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
We have to have ad hoc payments right now to make it through this year.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Wow.
Their cries for help did not appear to fall on deaf ears.
We're going to take your message. We're going to get it back to D.C. We're going to do everything we can to get you the help you need.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
What? You can't pray to God and then vote for the devil, praying for help because Trump has abandoned them.
It's Joe from Georgia. So another state is in the news about collapsing their farming industry, and it's the great state of Arkansas. They held meetings in Arkansas this week with the farmers because of the dire situations that they are in, because folks, they're not being able to sell their products. They have money in the ground, but they can't get any money out because the United States government, which had guaranteed them certain things, were lost in the big, beautiful bill. Well, in these meetings, it has been said that if an emergency bailout, which is what the farmers are asking for, folks, they're asking for a bailout in Arkansas, that 1/3 of them will file bankruptcy. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into bankruptcy. So you're going to have these people who generational wealth will be totally wiped off the map in the state of Arkansas. But here we go again, another state that overwhelmingly supported the president in his race. And believe it or not, there are still 70% of those farmers will say they believe in the tariffs that are putting them into bankruptcy. Folks, when those type of things are happening in your life, you've got to ask yourself, would I have thought this way 10 years ago? And I'm going to say pretty easy, the answer is no. You're not going to worship the thing that's bankrupting you.
After voting for Donald Trump, overwhelmingly, by the way, believing his promise of a farm bailout would rescue them from financial ruin, instead, they were left behind as Trump's administration sent aid to Argentina and leaving many families devastated and betrayed. From hope to heartbreak. And well, this is the story of hardworking Americans who trusted a promise that never came true.
Annie is a 5th-generation farmer who works nearly 5,000 acres in the region. His primary crops are soybeans and rice.
We produce more acres of rice in Arkansas than any other state in the United States. This is one of my unplanted fields right here. I'm not able to sell anything off this field. This field should be lush full of soybeans right now, but it's not. It's bare, dirt.
For farmers in many parts of the American South, it's a dire situation.
This year has just been the perfect storm. Low commodity prices, a wet spring, delayed acres from getting planted.
Last year we made the best crop we've ever made. We lost money.
And this is a national concern.
This was a sentiment at the National Cotton Council meeting in rural Arkansas, where future farm funding in President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill was the hot topic.
I don't see anything that's beautiful about the whole bill.
It's not your ordinary farm crisis. We call it Farmageddon, and it really is tough times.
Joe, this month, hundreds of farmers left their fields during their busy harvest to voice their fears and beg congressional aides to come up with emergency assistance.
You have that sickle cuts it off at the bottom, and then that reel feeds it into the machine. We need now. Arkansas farmers need an injection of cash right now to keep them on the farm.
Due to a variety of factors, including unpredictable weather, new tariffs, and rising costs for everything from feed to fertilizer, farmers say they're at a breaking point. The 2018 Farm Bill has had 2 extensions. It's due to expire September 30th, meaning farmers won't see any federal dollars until the Big Beautiful Bill kicks in late 2026.
Our bill collectors want money now. The chemicals, the seed companies, the fertilizer companies, they need it now. They don't want to hear, well, I'm waiting on a farm bill payment that's going to come 2 years from now. They don't want to hear that.
Unless money comes now, it's projected up to 1/3 of Arkansas farmers could face bankruptcy or be forced to shutter their operations.
77% of farmers voted for President Trump. And all we're asking for President Trump and this administration to do is take care of the farmers.
Lives because of what's happening to their farms because of Trump's policies. And it's only going to get worse for farmers because this is all laid out in Project 2025. So in Project 2025, the plan is to roll back all of the protections that farmers currently have access to. Basically, there's different programs. There's insurance, crop insurance. There's these commodities programs. And most of these are either subsidized or paid for by the government. So farmers, if a small farm gets hit with, a weather disaster or something else happens where they can't profit off their crop like they usually do, they're backed up. They're safe. They can, float for another year because of these programs. They want to get rid of these programs. They want to take the burden of these programs off the government and put it back onto the farmers, meaning these small farms get hit with one disaster and they're fucked. They're done. Guess who won't be done, though, if they get hit with one disaster? Giant mega corporations, these huge corporate farms that have all the capital they need to float if they get hit with a disaster. They're not going to go under. What they're going to do is buy up all these little farms and consolidate them into these giant mega farms. That's what the plan is. And I know it's easy to be like, oh, fuck these farmers. They voted for this. This is what they get. But this isn't good for any of us if this happens. I know like the FAFO is delightful.
There's stories all over the internet about farmers going bankrupt across the country. And I want you to know, I want to feel sorry for you. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to care at all. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because typically I have empathy, but I'm really, really tired of telling you farmers and you people that are in rural parts of the United States, I'm tired of telling you what your vote does to you. Yeah, I mean, you guys in the red states, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you're broke. You don't have any money. West Virginia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. You get my point. You're broke. And yet you keep voting for the Republican Party that wants nothing to do with you. And farmers, guess what? You're included. But you keep voting red, and now you want me to feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. I just can't.
American farmers aren't quitting. They're dying. We lose more than 300 farmers to suicide every single year in the United States. That's more than double the national average. Not because they fail, but because the system is designed to crush them. Percy Schmeiser didn't buy Monsanto seeds. Wind blew GMO pollen onto his land. They sued him anyway. That's how broken this is. You don't even own the food you grow if it's patented. USDA agents raided an Amish farm at gunpoint. Why? Raw milk. Public seed library in Missouri was shut down. Why? No barcodes. You think you're free to farm? Try selling beef without USDA approval. Try saving your seeds. Try skipping vaccines for your livestock. Try doing it your way and watch what happens. This isn't about food safety. It's about control. Control the seeds, control the food, control the food, control the people. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Old McDonald had a farm. Arkansas farmers. Let's talk about it. Arkansas farmers launched the SOS signal this week, stating that they are in dire need of financial assistance from the government. There was a recent study conducted by the University of Arkansas, and in that study, it stated that 1 in 3 Arkansas farmers are in jeopardy of losing their farms this year if they do not receive a financial bailout. Arkansas farmers are stating that due to the soaring cost of goods, as well as starting to feel the effects of the tariffs, their farms are in jeopardy of going under. In an article that I was reading in Yahoo Finance, a gentleman got on there and said that he was a 6th-generation farmer, and this year he has decided to throw in the towel, and that his son, who would have been a 7th-generational farmer, will not inherit the farm because he has to sell. He cannot compete with the soaring costs of the economy. And the ironic thing that I read in the same article was that many farmers, I think it was about 70% of farmers, were in favor of the tariffs. Many believe that the long-term benefits of the tariff will help them out. However, right now, they're struggling and they need some funds. So there is a safety net clause in the big, beautiful bill that just passed, giving farmers access to financial assistance if they're in need of it. However, those funds are not available until 2026. Now, there are people out there opposing farmers getting an emergency bailout. Those opponents who are against giving farmers this an emergency bailout cite things such as the student loan crisis, meaning when the average American, let's just say Mary Sue down the street, is drowning in student loan debt, that person would not be eligible, or there are no bailouts or funds ever available to him or her in those situations. So why is it that when farmers who are businesses or corporations or the car industry or whatever need a bailout, they are quick to say that they want government assistance to help save them? However, when the average American is requesting a bailout, a financial bailout, or even with this emergency economy being the way it is with so many people laid off, how about extending unemployment insurance for those individuals who are in that situation as well? So what determines who gets a bailout? What is the criteria, or who qualifies? So get down in the comments and let me know what you think about that. Do you think that the Arkansas farmers should receive a bailout to help save the food industry in this country? Or do you think that the good cream rises to the top? Another thing that comes to mind when I was reading this story is that what will probably happen is when these farms are going under, major corporations will just sweep in and purchase all of these small individually owned farms. Some may say that's a good thing. Some may say that that's a bad thing. I want to know what you think about that. If you found any value in this post, please make sure to like it. And if you're not following the Black Death Society, what are you waiting for?
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Arkansas farmers are crying bankruptcy, begging the government for bailouts. And you know what? They voted for this. Trump's tariffs, Trump's inflation, Trump's big, beautiful bill that doesn't pay a damn dime until 2026. That's not bad luck. That's F around and find out. 70% of farmers still say they believe in the tariffs that are crushing them. That's like cheering for the guy who just repoed your tractor. Loyalty this blind isn't just expensive, it's generational suicide. Look, I don't celebrate people losing farms, but actions have consequences. Arkansas voted overwhelmingly for Trump, and now they're learning the hard way that racism, culture wars, and blind loyalty don't put food on the table. They cost you everything.
So the farmers in Arkansas are quite literally begging the government for money.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer.
In case you didn't know, Trump put a tariff on all fertilizer, seed, and other things that farmers need. And a lot of these farmers were part of the U.S. aid. The U.S. aid contracted these farmers to make things like soybeans and rice. But now Trump slashed almost all of the U.S. aid, and it is leaving farmers going bankrupt. Because God forbid we send food to foreign countries. And now those farmers are out of a job. Most of these farmers voted for this, and now they are asking for government handouts. When Trump said he was going to defund all of these programs, also implement all of these tariffs, did you really think that you would not be affected by all of this? Are you that gullible?
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Not to mention bad weather earlier in the year.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up. So after a horrible year last year, where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big, beautiful bill provided a much-needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Newport, and we made a decision to go out this year. In the spring. So my son will not be the 7th generation on our farm.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that this is.
Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
We have to have ad hoc payments right now to make it through this year.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer to thee than anyone else on this earth because we deal with your earth every day. Dear Lord, we're hurting, dear Lord. We can help what's happened to us.
Okay, so Arkansas farmers got together in northeast Arkansas and had a meeting with other politicians from our state to talk about the farming crisis. The amount of comments of this is who you voted for. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It still affects everyone, not just farmers. I can't imagine being in a place where you're trying to not only save your occupation, but to also help save, because no doubt you eat some of the food that these people are growing. Arkansas produces the most rice in the United States. So it affects you. I don't care who you voted for. Whenever I offer a lending hand, I'm not asking who you voted for. Did you vote Democrat? How dare you? It doesn't matter who you vote for. And as long as you keep up this whole, well, that's who you voted for, nothing changes and nothing gets fixed. And you stay divided just like they want you to. So just stop commenting the little, this is who you voted for. Because you sound uneducated whenever you post that.
Well, it ends up that I was dead right all those times I made the satire videos about the soybean farmers going out of business, because that's exactly what's happening right now. In years past, China would buy a third of the soybeans produced in the United States from all the soybean farmers, and right now they're buying zero soybeans from all the farmers, and all of the fall crops are coming in right now, and they don't have buyers, and they're all about to go out of business because of all of his absolutely horrid tariff policies. Why anyone ever thought these tariffs were a good idea is beyond me, but they sure as fuck are not. And now rural America and farms across our country are paying the price. This happened in 2017, by the way. And he had to do a huge, like, $30 billion bailout for the farmers. Who knows if he's going to do it again? Who knows if he even cares about giving them a bailout? It doesn't seem like he cares about them at all based on all of his horrible policies. So, follow me because I'm usually right about everything.
Explain this to me like I'm 5. We are bailing out Argentina for $40 billion while we let our own farmers go bankrupt? Why?
Can one farmer's daughter really flip a U.S. Senate seat? Let me walk you through how we're doing it right now. Arkansas isn't just falling behind, it's being pushed to the brink. Family farms are vanishing and farmers are pleading for help. I'm Eliza Orleans, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan, and there's someone you need to meet. Hallie Schaffner, a 6th-generation Arkansas farmer, standing up for people who've been left behind. Right now, hundreds of Arkansas farmers are begging the federal government for emergency aid. They're battling bankruptcy, plunging crop prices, and sky-high input costs. Rice prices are down 40% from last year. 1/3 of Arkansas farms could go out of business before help arrives. Some families may lose farms that have been passed down for generations. Hallie Schaffner knows this struggle because she's lived it. She's not waiting for next year. She's demanding action now. She will deliver emergency farm relief, champion a farm bill that works for Arkansas, restore Medicaid, protect Social Security, and bring down costs for everyday people. She is taking on one of the worst senators. Tom Cotton voted against the farm bill twice, pushed tax cuts for land barons, and exploded the national debt. He's been endorsed by Donald Trump, but he's failed Arkansas. This race isn't just about politics. It's about whether hardworking Arkansas families can survive. It's about whether the Senate works for billionaire donors or people like farmers, mechanics, and single parents. But Hallie can't do it without us. Early grassroots fundraising is key to defining this race before Tom Cotton and his billionaire donors drown it out. So here's what I'm asking. Follow Hallie Schaffner on every platform, share her launch video, and most importantly, chip in through the link in my bio. Arkansas deserves Hallie Schaffner. America deserves Hallie Schaffner. A farmer's daughter can flip a U.S. Senate seat, and in Arkansas, it's already working. Let's do this.
On today's episode of Fuck Around and Find Out for MAGA Arkansas, the farmers in Arkansas are now crying and whining, begging and pleading their state representative for help because the votes that they put in for the big beautiful bill has now come back to bite them in the ass, and they don't know what to do. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. So just a couple of days ago, it was reported by several news stations, especially, ABC, NBC, all of them, that the farmers they came together and was like, look, shit not working out. Not only are the prices soaring entirely too high, but ever since for all of 2025 and practically half of 2024, farming ain't been the same. Like it's been shit. They haven't been able to make much of a profit, and even worse, they've been barely breaking even, baby, barely. But mind you, while the article itself does go deep into the issues that are happening in Arkansas, some of the issues could have been prevented, some of them couldn't have, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. There's been several storms in 2025. The most major one was the recent one that they had that destroyed well over 250,000 of the crops, right? So boom, had you voted accurately, those subsidiaries that were supposed to protect you in case this inclement weather shit happened, or if FEMA or anybody else that's supposed to be representing the farmers because it's a $1 billion industry, would have already been in place. So basically, They get up on the mic and they like, yeah, me, my son, my dad, and my daddy's dad, and my peepaw, my great granddaddy. I come from 6 generations of farming, and we are all about to lose our farms. Yeah, because that's what you voted for. You voted for someone who destroyed the tariffs. Then you who literally went into tariff wars with the same people that manufacture the equipment that you buy for the low ski. Yeah, you voted for that man who went to tariff war with the person who builds, creates, manufactures, puts it together, ships it over, all for a fraction of the price of the equipment that you would be getting made on American soil that is just eventually going to break the fuck down. You voted for that guy. Then you voted for the hands that help ensure that y'all are able to get the crops up and that you're able to manage said crops no matter come rain, hail, sleet, or snow. They out there and they getting it done. Then if that ain't worse, y'all also was loud and proud about your support of the big, beautiful bill. Even after y'all saw the shit that he had did to y'all initially. And that he wasn't actually going to fulfill any of the promises that he had made. Baby, you voted for this. Then they said, well, what happened to the subsidiaries that's supposed to protect all the farmers? They said, oh yeah, the money isn't the issue. The state told them farmers, looked them dead in their face and said, the money isn't the issue. The money is there. They said, well, why can't we get relief? Why can't we get help? But they said because the access to the money ain't supposed to be until 2026. I'm sorry. You voted for the money to be accessed in 2026, not 2025. So you got to figure it out. You're going to have to find a way to make it enough. I don't know what to tell you, but I can't give it to you until 2026. Sorry. I swear to God, I got the article. Y'all want to see? Hundreds of struggling farmers ask federal government to save them. You mean the same federal government that y'all voted for? That did this to y'all? That put in a safety net, but unfortunately you don't have the access code quite yet. They said access denied. Sorry. As you can see in this article, it says here almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers went wrong this year, leaving many facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. Well. Damn, Ancestors is working overtime right now. Not the generational wealth being at stake. And the best part about it is you did this. You voted for this. You voted for your generational wealth. You telling us about your son and how he's supposed to be 7th generation. You voted for it, baby. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation. Ain't gonna be no 7th generation, baby. They said there's nothing we can do about it. I'm so sorry. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices means there's little hope of breaking even as input costs soar because of inflation and tariffs. Read it in motherfucking week. The consequences of your own actions. Yours. Nobody else's but yours. All you had to do was read it in motherfucking week. All you had to do was read. Pay it to comprehend. And they set your asses up. The party you voted for sets you up for failure. Promised you the world and delivered nothing but a hole in the motherfucking penny. Then that man had the audacity to get up in front of the whole world in the Oval Office and hold up a bunch of graphs to prove to the investors, the international investors, that America's economy actually is flourishing and it's on the up and up. The graphs he used was the rising amounts of unemployment and inflation annually. And they made sure the font was too small for anybody to read it. But somebody zoomed in on it. That was the inflation rates. That was also the rates of unemployment. It was a cross comparative analyzation of the inflation rates and it being linked to the unemployment rates. So yeah. I don't know what else to say. Like, sorry to those men's, sorry to those families. Like, better luck next vote. You got 3 more years of this. We're not even through the first year. We told you. We begged y'all not to do this to yourselves, and you did it anyways. You did it anyways. First, it was, oh, maybe we should not have voted for immigration. You fucking think? Now, not only do you not have anyone who's going to manage those fields the way that they were managed before, but you also can't even break even because the costs are continuously rising due to tariffs and inflation. And you voted for it. Chill.
Yo, in today's episode of As the White Hood Turns. So, we've all heard that the job numbers came in, right? And only 22,000 jobs were added. And we all know Syphilitic Sid has said that maybe there won't be any numbers for at least 2, maybe 3 years until we can, get the numbers right. Whatever that means. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Did y'all see them farmers in Arkansas who are now begging Syphilitic Sid to help them? They are asking for a bailout. And I don't understand if they don't understand that a bailout is basically welfare for farmers. Now, mind you, I got no issues with farmers, right? Because without them, we wouldn't have, cabbages, broccoli, whatever, vegetables, right? Right, green beans, vegetables, tomatoes, whatever. But the fact that these people all voted overwhelmingly for Syphilitic Sid. Now they're asking him to bail them out. And you know what he said? We're going to have to see how it goes. Because, there are more important issues. Like that $200 million ballroom. And that plane, apparently, that they still are trying to figure out what to do with that and how to renovate it, So, one man even said that his farm has been in his family for 3 generations. And he will not be able to leave his farm to his kids. Because if they don't get help, and soon, they're not going to have a farm. I want to feel bad. I promise you I do. And I do. But damn it, this is what you voted for. So I kind of got to be like, yay, for you. Maybe not for your kids who ain't going to inherit no farm. But there's plenty of kids ain't inheriting nothing. That was uncalled for. But you know what I'm saying. Okay, bye.
I'm sure by now you've seen the video of the Arkansas farmers lamenting the fact that they're about to lose everything because of the tariffs that they inadvertently voted for. And this is not I told you so, this is not a FAFO video. It's very interesting to me to see the very things happening that my dude has been talking about happening for basically since we reconnected. He has been working to turn our little half-acre piece of land around our home into a garden for the primary function of feeding us and hopefully eventually our community. And just like, I don't know, his whole mentality is about he's a prepper. I think I've said it before, he's a prepper, but he's I see all the things that he's concerned about or has expressed concerned about and has said is coming are starting to happen, I realize that we don't get most of our food from our farmers, but that's the problem. They were growing a bunch of food that they were selling to USAID, who was then using it to feed starving children in other countries. And our government decided that that was wasteful spending. And so now these farmers don't have anybody to sell their, you know, however many tons of soy they've got sitting there, and it's a collapse of a system. And it's like, it's exactly the things that he's been talking about. So, for all the people that drove by in our neighborhood and probably thought, what the hell is that guy doing out there? Who's crazy now?
They voted to make America great again, but instead, Trump's administration decided to make Argentina great again. Tell me what you think down in the comments.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.